Hi, it's Liv from NeuroStitches, and this is my video tutorial for my latest pattern, the Unfree Shawl crochet version. For details on supplies and the complete pattern, please make sure to visit my Etsy and Ravelry shops linked below to purchase your PDF pattern. Let's go ahead and get started. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using the Rowan Pure Alpaca, a DK weight yarn. So I'm going to be using a 4.5mm hook. Now this pattern is suitable for any yarn type. It's the type of pattern that you can make it as large or as small as you like. So pick the yarn of your choice and then just make sure that you're using the recommended hook size on the yarn label. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we have the setup rows section. And so before we get into the pattern repeat, we are going to have about 5 rows that we accomplish. And then once we are done with that, we will get into the pattern repeat. So go ahead and chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then starting in the second chain from your hook, single crochet in each chain. Two, 3. Okay, so now we have 3 stitches at the end of row 1. Let me just go ahead and zoom in for you guys too. I want to make sure you can see it. Now, you are going to turn your work. In row 2, we are just going to single crochet across. So you will have 3 single crochets by the time that you reach the end. Okay, and now we are going to turn our work and we are ready for row 3. So the very first stitch, we are going to do a single crochet increase. So that means do 2 single crochets in the same first stitch. Then single crochet across. So 2 more, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So now by the end of row 3, you should have 4 stitches. Okay, now turn your work and we are ready for row 4. Okay, and we're going to just single across until the last stitch. So single crochet across until we reach the last stitch. 2, 3. Okay, so we are at our last stitch here. And in this last stitch, we are going to do a single crochet increase again. So that means 2 single crochets in this last stitch. And this should give you 5 stitches at the end of this row. Okay, now turn your work. And in row 5, we are going to place a standing double crochet and a double crochet in the back loop only in this very first stitch. And the reason that we're doing this is because we want to have clean edges and it's almost kind of building in a border as you create your shawl. And it might seem a little crazy at first, but you'll get into the hang of it, and it just makes the edges of your shawl so much nicer, and so I highly recommend it. So let's go ahead and do a standing double crochet. And really what a standing double crochet is it gives it replaces doing a turning chain or the starting chain at the beginning of each row. Okay, so here's how we do a standing double crochet. Act like you're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch. Okay, so we've done a single crochet. Now you are going to go in between the first two posts here. Insert your hook in between those two and the back stitch. So it should look like this when you insert your hook. Okay? Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over, pull through two loops. Now, a lot of people just do, when they do their a lot of people, when they do a standing double crochet, they just do the single crochet and then yarn over, or insert their hook, yarn over, and pull through the two loops. I like to do yarn over, pull through one, then yarn over, pull through two, because I find that gives a better height. It's a better height to match the other double crochets. But again, it's purely preference. You can skip the one loop. Okay, so we did our standing crochet through both loops of this first stitch. Now we have to do a double crochet in the back loop only of this first stitch. So we're going to yarn over and then turn your work like this so you can see the top of your stitches here. Let me get the yarn out of the way actually. So as you can see here in this first stitch, you can see where in the next stitch, just to give you some sort of perspective, here's the front loop and here's the back loop. Now this, because we did the standing crochet through both loops, it's consolidated those two. So you might need to just like wiggle your hook a little bit and just go into the back loop only here. So you're just doing a normal double crochet in the back loop only. It just might take you a second to just find that back loop only. So it's just a normal double crochet in the back loop only. Okay, now let's move on. So our next step is to do a regular double crochet in the next stitch. So let's do a double crochet. All right. And then in the next stitch is actually the very beginning of our chain link. It's also known as the Jacob ladder stitch. Okay, so, and to be clear, the Jacob's ladder stitch will always be through both loops. So we're not going to be doing the back loop only on the Jacob's ladder stitch whenever you get to that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the Jacob's ladder stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook through both loops of the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, and then now we need to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so now once you have your 10 chains, make sure not to twist your chain. It's not the end of the world if it happens. It's just try to aim for that to make sure that your chain links are going to be nice and tidy. Okay, so now here's the next step. We are going to, with your one active loop, insert into the front of the double crochet stitch that you just made through the front 2 bars here. Okay, so insert front loop and through that little side loop there. Okay, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, pull through that active loop. So you're doing a slip stitch after your chain 10. Okay, and then now we are going, there's 2 stitches left. Do a regular double crochet in both of those. So through both loops. Do not do through the back loop only. Okay. And that is the end of row 5. And you should have 6 stitches. These chains do not count in your stitch count. Okay. So throughout the pattern, these chains will not count as stitches. So just to review, at the end of row 5, you should have 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's turn our work and we're going to begin the main body and pattern repeat. So now we are ready to begin row 6. And in this, this is going to be the very first row of our pattern repeat. And this shawl is just a 2-row repeat once you have the setup rows complete. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and get started on row 6. And also, I just want to quickly note that this is the wrong side of your work, and every even numbered row should be on the wrong side, just to help you keep track. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with row 6. We are going to do 3 single crochets, so 3 regular single crochets through both loops. And what you want to do is make sure that you are pulling the chain link here out of the way when you get to that 3rd stitch. So because it's located in the 3rd stitch of this row. Okay, so let's go ahead. So 1 single crochet in the 1st stitch, 1 single crochet in the 2nd stitch, and then you just kind of have to move the chain around a little bit, and you want to make sure that you're going through both loops of it. Okay, so here I'm gonna, so you can get a better view. As you can see, this, when you can pull on the chain link to help you gauge where that 3rd stitch is, where you should be inserting it. And you can see here that there's the 3rd stitch, okay? And you want to make sure when you're doing your single crochet into this stitch that you push it should be in the front. So you want it to stay in the front because we will connect them all at the end or as you go, but you just want to make sure that the chain link stays in the front. You don't want it to get in on the back side, okay? So let's go ahead and do this together. Okay, so I'm pulling this forward and I'm just going to do a single crochet right here, see, through both loops, okay? And then notice my working yarn is in the front. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That is your 3rd single crochet, okay? And now for the rest of the row, until you get to the last stitch, we are doing a yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only. Okay, so yarn over, turn your work a little bit so you can see your stitches a little bit easier. Okay, and in the back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through 2 loops, okay? And with a yarn over slip stitch, you'll notice I twisted my hook kind of funny. And that's because it makes it easier for you to pull through those slip stitches when you rotate it away from you like that. So let's do another one. Yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then rotate your hook away from you as you pull through the next 2 loops. You'll definitely get into a groove and a rhythm with that, and it'll become like second nature. But you obviously too, you can, let's go ahead and do this just the normal way to just show you, you can do it the regular way. I learned from someone else to twist the hook like that, and it does make things a lot easier. So here's how you do just a yarn over slip stitch without twisting your hook like that. And it's just a matter of personal preference, so it doesn't really matter. But I tend to prefer to rotate the hook away from me. So, okay, so we've made it to the last stitch here. Okay, and in the last stitch, we are going to yarn over slip stitch in the back loop only again. Okay, and then we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2 loops, okay? And then in the same last stitch, we're going to do a regular single crochet through both loops, okay? So rotate your work a little bit so you can make sure that you're going to get through both loops, okay? So here, okay, so you can see that I've gone through both loops here. And again, this is just to keep your edges nice and clean, okay? And then that's the end of row 6. So we're going to turn our work. And now we're ready for row 7, which is the odd number right side row. Okay, so we are first going to do a standing double crochet. So through both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through a 2, insert your hook between the front 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we are going to do a double crochet in the back loop only into this same first stitch again. So you might need to like pull your stitch a little bit to make sure that you can see the difference between the front loop and the back loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop. So do a normal double crochet in the back loop only, okay? And then we are going to double crochet across this row until you have 3 stitches left, okay? So just to give you a visual representation, here's 1, 2, 3, okay? So we will double crochet in the back loop only until we reach this third stitch, third from the last stitch. In the third from the last stitch is where we do our Jacob's ladder stitch or our chain link, okay? So let's double crochet in the back loop only. One, 2, 3. All right. So we've got 3 left. We're going to do a regular double crochet into that third stitch. Okay. And now you're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now you're going to insert your hook into the front of the double crochet stitch that you just made and do a slip stitch. So insert under both of those loops there, yarn over, pull through those 2, and pull through the final loop, okay? And now 2 double crochets through both loops in the final 2. And again, this is just to help keep your edges clean, and it allows your the chain link to lay flat against, you know, because we've got, once the shawl gets bigger, you'll see that we've got like ribbing and stuff. So it just keeps this section nice and flat, okay? And so now we are going to turn our work. And we are doing the even numbered wrong side row repeat again. So this would be row 8. And we are going to do 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and then the third single crochet goes into this same stitch as where the chain link is located. And we're going to just make sure to pull that forward. And you may need to like pull it to the side a little bit as well, okay? And then insert under both loops. So here you can see, move my yarn out of the way, okay? And then do a normal single crochet. Oops, let's do that again. Okay, so insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now you have your first 3 single crochets complete, and we are going to yarn over, slip stitch through the back loop only in every stitch across until you get to the last stitch. Okay, so let's yarn over, slip stitch through the back loop only. And we've gotten to the last stitch. And in that last stitch, we are going to yarn over and do a yarn over slip stitch through the back loop only. And in that same stitch, we are going to do a regular single crochet. So it'll go through both loops. Okay, so this is what that will look like. So you can see here the front and back loop. Okay, and now we're going to turn our work. And you're just going to keep this up for the rest of the shawl pattern. I'll do a couple more rows with you, and just to make sure you've got the hang of it and you can start to see your shawl take shape. So let's go ahead and get started again. So in the right side repeat here, we're going to do a standing double crochet in the first stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through one, pull through two. Okay, and then in the same first stitch, now we're going to do a double crochet in the back loop only. So I like to turn my work and use my hook to get into that back loop only. Okay, and now we are going to double crochet in the back loop only all the way across until there are 3 stitches left. Okay, so let's do double crochet in the back loop only. Okay, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so just one more. Back loop only. Okay, so we have 3 stitches left. So now we're going to do our Jacob's ladder stitch. So regular double crochet through both loops, chain 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now we are going to slip stitch through the front of that double crochet stitch, so through the both of these front loops here. Yarn over, pull through those 2, and pull through the last loop on your hook. Okay, now the last 2 stitches will be regular double crochets, so through both loops. Okay, and now we are going to turn our work. So let's do 2 more rows together. So 3 single crochets. Okay, we're ready for our 3rd single crochet, and we've got to pull this forward and make sure it's out of the way. So just like as a tip, pull your the chain link forward and make sure your working yarn is behind, or I guess in front of your chain link from this perspective. So just like this. Okay, so now there is the same stitch that the chain link is in. So we're going to insert under both loops, yarn over, single crochet. And you also may want to just like pull this one just a little bit tighter, since there's already so much in that stitch, but not too tight, because you don't want to, you know, distort your tension throughout the project. So now that we have our first 3 single crochets, we are going to yarn over, slip stitch in the back loop only all the way across until we get to the last stitch. Okay? Okay, we've reached our last stitch here. And sometimes with the standing double crochets, it can be a little tough to see where your last stitch is. And if you are struggling with this, I recommend using a stitch marker at the beginning of the next round. So when you do your standing double crochet, insert a stitch marker once you've completed it. So I'll tell you when to do that. So the last stitch here, we are doing a yarn over, slip stitch in the back loop only. And then we are doing a single crochet into that same last stitch through both loops. So here's the front loop, here's the back loop. Single crochet. Okay, now turn your work. And here is where, if you're struggling to decipher where the last stitch is, this is where you're going to want to put your stitch marker. Okay, so in the first stitch here, we are going to do a regular standing double crochet through both the front and back loops. Okay, so insert your hook, yarn over, pull the loop, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so then at this point, rest your hook or something here. And then you would want to put in your stitch marker right here. So this will mark your, what will be the last stitch for you when you turn your work on the next side. Okay, so now, now we need to do a double crochet through the back loop only of the same first stitch. Okay, so find that. Sometimes it can be a little tough, especially when you're using a loosely plied yarn like this. Probably was not the best choice for a demonstration. But I think you can see it. Let me know if you can't, and I will reach out and help you out. Okay, so we did our standing double crochet and a double crochet through the back loop only in the very first stitch. So now we do double crochet in the back loop only all the way across until we get to the last 3 stitches. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And you're just going to keep up this 2-row repeat until your shawl gets to roughly the width and length that you want. And then we will go to the next section. One, 2, 3, 4. So one more. Then back loop only. Okay. So now our Jacob's ladder chain link. So regular double crochet through both loops. Chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch to the front of that, double crochet, 2 regular double crochets, okay, and then turn your work. So I'm just gonna crochet a couple of rows along here with you just to give the sample a little bit more size. I'm making a miniature version for purposes of this tutorial, but that way we have plenty of room to work with when we go to link the Jacob's ladder stitch or the chain links here, okay? So for purposes of this tutorial, we are going to go ahead and wrap up this section. Now, you would normally keep repeating this until you have the shawl about the size, like width and length that you would like. In the pattern, the sample that I made, I used Malabrigo Caprino yarn, and that comes in 50 gram skeins, not 100 gram skeins. So I use 200 grams of yarn for my whole shawl. So that's 4 skeins of that because it's 50 gram skeins. So once you have made it through, if you were following the sample exactly and the pattern exactly, you would get through 3 skeins of your yarn before starting the next section, which is called the double increase section. Okay, so this first section, you want to end on a wrong side row. So this is the wrong side of our work. And so this, we're about to do the last stitch here. And the reason that you want to end on a wrong side is because the double increase section starts with a row on the right side of your work. Okay, so let's do our last stitch here. And then we're going to turn our work. And we've got the right side facing again. And so now we are going to start with the double increase section. Okay, and it's basically the same pattern repeat. We're just adding an increase. Okay, so for this right side row, we are going to do a standing double crochet through both loops in the first stitch, just like we were. Now we're going to do a double crochet through the back loop only in that same stitch. And again, it might just take a little bit of like wiggling your hook to get it through the right spot. And now we are going to do a double crochet back loop increase in the second stitch. Okay, So here's the, that was our first stitch that we do just like normal. All right, we're adding an increase here. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook through the back loop only of the second stitch, do a double crochet in the back loop only. Okay, and now do another double crochet in the back loop only of that same stitch. Okay. So this is why this section is called the double increase section. And now we are going to double crochet in the back loop only across until there are 3 stitches remaining. So just like the previous section. Okay, we've made it to our last 3 stitches here. So now to do our Jacob's ladder stitch, so regular double crochet. As you can see here, the difference, this is a back loop only, this is a regular double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. Slip stitch, and you want to make sure that slip stitch is tight and not caught up by the chain loop here. Okay, and now 2 regular double crochets, 1 in each of the last 2 stitches. Okay, and then we're gonna turn our work. And then the even numbered row, this will be exactly like the first section. So we will do a yarn over, well, 3 single crochets first in the first 3 stitches. So 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Then we're going to do a yarn over, slip stitch, back loop only until the last stitch. And in that last stitch, we are doing the exact same that we were in the first section. So yarn over, slip stitch in the back loop only and a single crochet in that last stitch. So the only change between the first section and this, the double increase section here, is we are just adding an extra double crochet increase on the right side only. So that may help you to think of it that way. And again, you'll complete the first section until you have about a quarter of your yarn left. So again, for me, I used 200 grams of yarn for my whole shawl of DK weight. So when you have 50 grams of yarn left, that's when you should move into this double increase section. Okay, turn your work, and let's do one more of these double increase right side rows one more time together. Okay, so we are going to do a standing double crochet in the first stitch, a double crochet in the back loop only of that same first stitch. Okay, and now we are going to do a double crochet in the back loop only increase. So that'll be 2 double crochet in the back loop only stitches within the second stitch here. Okay, then double crochet in the back loop only all the way across until you get to the last 3 stitches. We're doing our Jacob's ladder stitch in the third from the last. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch. Double crochet. Double crochet. So once you have your shawl to the width and length that you would like, or until you are about to run out of yarn, we are going to end this double increase section on a right-sided row. So we've just completed, well, we're about to complete the last row of this section. So we did our row the same way that we've been doing it for this section, by doing a standing double crochet in the back loop only in the first stitch. And in the second stitch, we did a double crochet in the back loop only increase, and then did a double crochet in the back loop only all the way across until the last 3 stitches. Now, in this second to the last row of your shawl and the final row in the double increase section, we are not going to do a Jacob's ladder chain link stitch here, okay? Because we need it, we are going to anchor this final loop here in the last row. So, as you can see, I've done a double crochet in the back loop only all the way across until I've got 4 stitches left. So I need to do 1 more double crochet in the back loop only. All right, and now I have 3 stitches left, and all we're going to do for these last 3 stitches is do a regular double crochet stitch through both loops. We are not doing a Jacob's ladder chain link stitch for this row. And then once you have completed this row, and before you start the final section, which is just the last row of your shawl. So before you start the last row, we need to connect your chains if you haven't been doing it as you go along. Now, I'm impatient, so I was connecting them as I went along when I did my sample, but this is how you would do it just normally. It's really just preference. So I'm going to show you how we connect these chain links now. So here we have all our chain links, and here's our very first one. And how we connect them is the same for each one, and it's kind of like dominoes. So you take your first loop and your second loop here, and you're going to make sure that it's not twisted or anything. Make sure that it's, do you see how all my chains are facing up towards me, little V's? That's exactly what you want. And you want to just pinch it or just push it through the center of your first chain, just like this. And that is how we're going to connect all of them. Now, I'm doing this using my hands. You can use a crochet hook to, grab your chain link and pull it through. I think it's easier just to use your hands, and then also that way you're not getting your hook caught on a stitch and then accidentally stretching out a stitch or something like that. So let's do some more of these together to make sure that you have the hang of it. So now we are ready to link the third stitch here, this third loop. Okay, so take that third stitch and shove it through the middle of the second one. Grab it with your other hand, pull it through. I like to then take the second loop here, push it back, and then pull this one up a little bit, just to make sure that they're fitting right, they're laying correctly. So let's do some more. So now we're going to take our fourth chain and link it to the third one by pushing it through the center of that. Pull it through, push this back, pull this one up. Okay, and you're just going to keep doing this until you've linked all of yours. Okay, so there is our last one. And also too, I think it's just good to maybe like give it a little pull, a little stretch, just to make sure that they're even and they're laying the way that you want. So now that you have all of them linked, except for the last one here, we're going to do our final section, which is just the last row. And this last row is where we are going to anchor this final chain link. Okay, so let's turn our work. We're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 2 stitches. So regular single crochet in the first stitch, a regular single crochet in the second stitch. And in the third stitch, we are going to complete a regular single crochet through both loops of this stitch and through the last chain link. So now we're going to, so we've got our hook through this stitch, and now we're going to move our working yarn out of the way. And we're going to tilt our work towards us, grab that last loop, so chain link, and I'm just putting it on my hook like this. So as you can see, through the 2 front and back loops, through the chain loop. And then we are going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. So we're basically just doing a single crochet through this stitch and through the chain link. And then we are going to yarn over, slip stitch through the back loop only, through to the rest of the row until we get to the last stitch. And in the last stitch, instead of doing what we've been doing, we are just going to put a single crochet. So we've made it to our last stitch here. We only have 1 stitch left, and all we're doing is just putting a regular single crochet in that stitch through both loops. So we just finished our shawl, and now you're just going to tie this off and weave in your ends. And if you want, you can block your shawl. I found that because I used a yarn that has really fantastic drape, I didn't need to block it. This is alpaca yarn, so it's another great option for the shawl. I recommend using alpaca yarn or the Malabrigo Caprino, which has a merino and cashmere blend. So both of those are great options for ensuring that you have wonderful drape for your shawl. If you use a tightly wound yarn, you probably will need to block it, and the dimensions are located in the pattern. So congratulations on finishing your shawl. I absolutely love seeing what people make with my patterns. So please, please feel free to share on Instagram or Blue Sky and tag me in your photos. I love seeing them. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope you enjoyed the Unfree Shawl.